welcome in this special moment. We are here with elders from Africa, and they're going to share their sacred knowledge with us about their cultures, about their practices, and also their importance in this modern life we all live. I think we all can learn a lot from these elders. And yes, my name is Meindrian. I have participated for 5 years in the Kiva ceremonies where elders and different shamans from all around the world gather. And we do a ceremony in Temescals, and we pray to create a new world, to really purify our own selves. And I hope with this interview you can learn also. It will inspire you to create a new world for your children, for yourself, and all of your family. I hope. Yes, I want to start by introducing ourselves. Maybe you can start.
My name's Mpateleni Makaulule, coming from South Africa, Venda.
Thank you.
My name is Rutendo Liratongara. I'm from Southern Africa.
My name is Stanley Nyoni. I am from Zimbabwe.
So I want to ask first Stanley. Can you tell us something about your culture, and particularly what is the strengths of your culture?
Yeah, that's a tough question. How do you describe a culture in a few lines, a few sentences? I would focus on the two things maybe. One is the communal spirit, that people are looking out for each other, and my well-being is interlinked with yours. And so I am only, if you say in my language, when you greet somebody, you ask them, how are you doing? The answer will be, I am well if you are well. Which means I cannot be well if you are not, right? And that's part of the culture, which is, I think, strengthening this whole communal spirit, taking care of yourselves, your relatives, but also your neighbors as well are included in that. Yeah, that's one. But and then I also want to mention something about the totem system, which for me is very important, especially when we are talking about conservation and regeneration. That most people have a totem which is linked to an animal or something else in nature. And so if my totem is Ndlovu, for example, that means that I consider elephants sacred, and therefore I would never eat an elephant. You know, and that has played a role in the conservation of animals, for example. Yeah. So those are the two main things I wanted to talk about.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Stanley just explains that the strength of their culture is that it's really compassionately paying attention to the well-being not only of our fellow human beings but also to the animals, and that they have a totem animal, for example this in the form of a lion, and the animals, they represent specific qualities in which we can learn a lot from, and it's important to also conserve the animals and nature because it's all interlinked. Thank you very much, Stanley, for sharing. The second question I want to ask you. It's a very important question because in our modern times, specifically in the West, the woman, the symbol of the woman, the position of a woman is really not so clear, because the woman also needs to have a specific position, has to work, have to earn a lot of money. So I want to ask you, what place have women in your culture and tradition?
Your question as a young person is very important for all youth and children to understand this. And this only happens when there is a space for learning from the elders, because the elders have an experiential life. For us, Bavenda, and generally Africa, woman is very, very important. Woman, firstly, when you see the moon, In our culture, Bavenda, we call that moon Makazi. Makazi is a spiritual role. It's not a title. Women at the center in the community, they are the one whom even the traditional leaders, those who are called the chiefs, they cannot be the chiefs, they cannot be traditional leaders. In Bavenda culture, it's Makazi who put you on that thing which they said is a throne. Makazi, who is only a woman and a moon when the baby is born. You should go and tell your own Makazi that we have a baby. Makazi will be the one who confirms the name of the baby and praise the baby according to your totem. An animal. And once they praise that baby by the totem, it's a blessing for life. When you grow up, you get matured. Your Makazi has to bless you. We have initiation schools. It's only us women, Makazi, who bless the children when they pass through graduating from initiation schools. When you get married, you go and tell your Makazi. She's the one who has the blessing. Even in modern culture, you go to church, come to Venda. You go to church, you see the lady with this white gown. But the priest will fold arms and stand. And said, I'm waiting for Makazi of the bride to come and bless. I'm waiting for the Makazi of the bridegroom to come and welcome the bride. The pastor cannot do the prayer, cannot do anything. When you have a baby, you go to Makazi. When you die, you go to the grave. Makazi is the one who has to be there to see that you have been rested. Woman who is a Makazi. What you modern days they say the agriculture. The seed in the hands of Makazi is not the seed to produce food for eating for mama. It's a blessing. When they go there to plant, to cultivate, to reap, to harvest, hands of Makazi are the one who select the seed. Yes, in modern culture, you see your mothers always in the kitchen. It's not that they are punishment, that they must not go to be employed and earn money. It's not, according to our culture, it's not an abuse that mother or grandmother is always in the kitchen. It's the natural creation of the universe that women are placed with that responsibility. We can't live without women. We Vavenda culture, we cannot live without Makazi. Makazi present bring healing. When the baby is sick, you don't need injection or all these tablets or what. Presence of Makazi and hands of Makazi. That's it for us. Women, we are respected because we are the moon. In Venda, we have sacred sites. There is a big mountain, but in that big mountain, there is a place where we don't go to harvest even the fruits or to just go and sit like that. Makazi is the one who lead. And the elder Makazi in the clan, she's the one who knows what happens there. This is when you are born, when you die. The mouth of Makazi has to talk about your name to the sacred place. The totem need Makazi. Men, yes, they are there, but the responsibility from the creation is placed on Makazi, a woman, like the responsibility of the moon.
Wow, thank you very much, Basi Basi. I'm really touched by this knowledge. It's really showing the great value and the great power of the nourishing factor of a woman and the feminine principle in life. I think in our modern day society we really crave for this principle. We have a lot of men, a lot of women who have a lot of emotional problems, and I feel most of our problems can be solved by replacing our value system and making the woman who she really deserves to be, recreate this image, and we can learn a lot from the culture and the woman as Samasaki. Thank you very much. The next question is for our sister, and I want to place this question specifically about ancient Egypt. The original name is Kemet, the Black Land. It's one of the most civilized and one of the most long existing cultures who was ever existed on planet Earth. It's really amazing. And the question goes, what do you perceive as the most valuable heritage we need to perceive as human beings? So basically, when we're talking about Kemet, what is for you the most important message Kemet has to teach us, which we have to preserve in order to come back to our roots?
Before I answer the question, I'd just like to say, yes, indeed, Kemet had one of the longest lasting civilizations from which so much of what is now modern day so-called civilization came from. When we speak about the so-called father of mathematics, Pythagoras, he studied in Kemet. When we speak about the so-called father of medicine, Hippocrates, he studied in Kemet. You know, whoever it is, the Greeks came to Kemet to get the knowledge. They didn't have the full knowledge, so they missed out on the important point that you're asking. But before that, I'd just like to say, even though we have this long history in Kemet, that long history was preceded by something. And it was preceded by knowledge that came all the way down the southern tip of Africa, moving up what we call the Nile Meridian, or Zeb Tepi, where knowledge has flown up through great civilizations, through megalithic stone calendars in Inzalo Yolanga, predating Stonehenge by 80,000 years, the oldest lunar calendar, the oldest mathematical artifacts, great civilizations in Munumutapa, in Zimbabwe, moving up to Ishango, the first mathematical artifact, moving up all the way to Nabta Playa, just before you get to the great pyramids of Giza, and all the temples along the way, where we had everything studied from astrology to astronomy to forms of agriculture to the stars, you know, to society, to art, to all sorts of ways in which these temples, operated. But the principle that moved through all of this was a principle that is called Ma'at in Kemet. Ma'at is the principle of interdependence, interconnectedness, and interrelatedness. Ma'at is the divine law upon which all of creation is created. Ma'at is truth, and Ma'at is love. And everything was about how to be in harmony with all that is. Neter. Neter is where the roots of the word nature come from. We're sitting here in Neter. If we go even further back to before the Latin, Neter is all that is, and it's also all that is not. You know, and that's when we then go into the Latin becomes natura, which is essence, and when we go further, it then becomes nature, which is this that we have around us. But all of Neter exists because of Ma'at. It is that interdependence, interconnectedness, and interrelatedness of all that is. Ma'at is known by other things within Africa. As I said, there's this Nile Meridian in which the knowledge moved up until it came to this great civilization. In the south, it is called Ubuntu. It is exactly the same principle. It is the principle of interdependence, interconnectedness, and interrelatedness, which says I am because we are. And it's not just I am because humans are, and that is the very anthropocentric view of Ubuntu these days, is that it is a person is a person through other persons. What we're missing out is what we mean by person. Person is that which is made of sound. We are created because of the first sound of creation. So even the trees are persons, even the grass is persons, the caves are persons, the animals are persons, the minerals are persons, the great bodies of water are persons. So a person, that which is created from the first sound, is what is another person because of another person. A person is a person because of all the people. And with all those persons coming together, we have community that Stanley has spoken about, which is what we revere within African culture. Ubuntu also tells us that time and space is collapsed into that principle of what that principle, that quantum principle called Ubuntu, manifests through this Ubuntu. So yeah, I would say that is the greatest heritage that our ancient ancestors from Africa have left us. The principle of Ma'at, also known as Ma'a in other places, also known as Mat in other parts of Africa, but further south we know it as Ubuntu, the ability to be in harmony with Ubuntu.
Thank you very much. It seems like the ancestors were highly developed, and also our modern day scientific discoveries are just beginning to discover about this knowledge, even though it's already been there for thousands of years. I feel it's really important to listen more to what the African people in particular has to say and has to share, because it's really from direct experience that these people are able to build such great civilizations and to prosper for such a long time. And I feel we need to pay back also our homage and our respect, and that we recognize the richness we received, we inherited from the African continent. So thank you very much for sharing this. The next question. As we are living in times of transition, as I perceive it, do any one of you have a vision for the future, how we can create a more authentic culture? You may also share with each other.
Yeah, we could say we have visions of the future, but in that vision, maybe what we could talk about is what are desirable futures, because they are going to be different depending on the different communities that are existing in the world, in terms of diversity that exists in the world. But there may be some key characteristics of that vision. One of the key things, going back to the discussion about Ubuntu, is the fact that the individual integrity in the African context is dependent or comes from the integrity of the community, right? Which is reverse, I think, when you think about Europe, that the individual integrity is my responsibility, but in the African context, individual integrity is the responsibility of the collective. I cannot be of integrity when my community is out of integrity, in a way. And so we build that together. And that's what we are talking about when we are talking about building a totally different future today. So we would then together come up with a collective vision of what the future looks like, based on our aspirations as a village, as a country, or as a society, right? And the principle of interdependence is very critical to that, both when we are talking about the communities themselves, but also when we are talking about the nature, the forest, when we are talking about the soils. We need to make sure that we are respecting that principle, because without diversity, we cannot create. Actually, we cannot create. I stop there with period. Yeah, because we have seen that one of the problems we are having in the world today is this whole idea that I can create a forest that is only made of one type of tree because it's economically feasible. Then I'm not creating. I'm more destroying than creating, and that goes the same for society as well. Without respecting the diversity that exists within ourselves, within our communities, we cannot create. So I think that we need to put that principle at the center of whatever society, vision we are talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Um, yes, I don't have to say too much. It's really clear that we, as a Western society, we have like an idea of ourselves which is completely not in line with the reality. And as we hear, we are basically dependent on each other. So, in a way, we are how we are interacting with each other. This is influencing is for great influence. It has a great influence on us, our personal life. And in a way, we can feel more responsible not only for ourselves but also for each other, because we got to feel that how we live, how we act, and how content we are all responsible not only for ourselves but for each other. And this is really, really important in today's society where we live so individualistically, only for our own motives and our ambitions. And yeah, we can learn that we are all depending on each other. So thank you very much. Um, I have a couple of more questions. How is shamanism integrated? I want to ask this to you. How is shamanism integrated into your culture? And what is the importance of this practice for modern day society in the future?
We can name spirituality practices, processes in different names or language, but all come to spirituality. As like myself, I started to learn about shaman in Colombia, inside Maloka. But at home, we have the elders who do that to us, like my father. When I see a shaman, I also see my father. This aspect of a shaman cannot be replaced if it get away, because it's rooted on the elder. The shaman, they taught us, if a child is born as a shaman, is the other shaman knows. And the walk, the path of that baby is known by a shaman. And the shaman is not that they take a baby in the room and teach. It's spiritual learning, it's spiritual growth, is to sit on the chair of knowledge. We lose the forest, the indigenous forest. Shamanism is going to be away. We lose the rivers, water. Shamanism is going to be vanished. And this shamanism is only we human beings who practice it on our own minds, on our own action. I trust the spirit because my totem, if I'm sick, I've experienced that. When I graduated at university, I found myself in a hospital ward of tuberculosis. Because my father, I know, if he was alive, he will go to the forest. He will deny me to sit or to sleep there. I only spent 5 days and ran away to the forest. The spirit heals me. I was coughing blood, but the spirit heals me to teach me, go and eat this, drink this water, chew this root. Not that I go to the classroom of medication they taught me. That is spirituality. That is shaman. My totem taught me. Young people has to understand this spirituality. Shama, traditional healer, elder is a shama. The challenge to the younger generation. Christian principles which came with colonization in South Africa, it got deeper by apartheid. They said our ancestors are demon, are evil, they belong to hell. They said our practices, ceremonies like what we were doing there at Kiva. Christian view in South Africa, they said, and mostly in Africa, they said is unchristian, is evil, is dark ways. And this is to destroy shamanism. We have our language, Mupo, the creation. And Mupo is the spirit. Mupo is that has created everything which is not created by human. And for my understanding is shamanism. Young people, if you want well-being, your well-being depends on the well-being of the lion. Your well-being depends on the well-being of from small grass up to the big tree. Young people, it's your time to stand up and say, let's say no to destroy the existing forest. My brother said to plant forest. You can't plant forest. Forest is not the standing trees or what you see by your eyes. It's beyond what you see. And for us African, the spirit do not belong in the building or somewhere in what they call is heaven. It belongs to the forest. It belongs to the springs. It belongs to the wetlands. I will say it because I feel strongly that it's time for young people to say no to destroy the indigenous forest. Our well-being belongs there. Elders are going to go away. You don't go to the classroom or to somewhere where they read the book, they teach you shamanism. The forest is there where there is the spirit. African youth, worldwide youth, there is one thing which is going to finish the human. Allowing mining, that they have to dig the mineral and you get a job. Go back to the elders. Look at the consequences of mining. Spirit shamanism will remain to the other creation. We human beings, but we are the one who have to depend on this thing, forest, everything. Those, they don't depend to us. Science will say we have to give out our carbon or something, this dirty air out. I argue as a Makazi. We human beings, we have a smallest circle of what we do to bring well-being. But we are the one who is destroying the larger circle up to the moon up there. Young people, especially young girls, you are the one who are the moon who have to the young boys. Be Makazis. Be women. I can talk about spirituality until. Young people are robbed their spirituality spaces by principles which want to destroy and capitalize and make everything. Money does not have a single spirituality.
Well, I hope if you seeing this, hearing this message touches you about the importance of waking up to who we really are and connecting with nature when you feel sick, when you don't feel at home within yourself, to get healed by listening to the nature within yourself and around you. and especially for the youth to stand up and do something about the condition in this world in which we are living, because we have the own power in ourselves, and we need to make action now, because we are really endangered as a species, because we really depend upon nature and everything which is existing. So I hope you will take care of this. Thank you. So you also answered my question about how we can contribute to making a better world. So thank you for that. Yes, I want to ask for you the last question about Kemet specifically, or maybe farther back. Can you briefly explain the connection your ancestral heritage has for all of our humanity, and also maybe the purpose, because there are a lot of megalithic temples, buildings all around the world, and it has a major technology and knowledge we even today we don't understand. And maybe you can explain us what is the message, what can we learn from it,
From the technologies?
from the megalithic buildings, and also which connection it has to our today people who live today. Yes.
Well, what we need to learn from the megalithic structures all around the world is our ancestors, and I'm talking about all our common ancestors, who were still in a state of ma'at, still in a state of connection, still in a state of ubuntu, were able to access the high energetic points of the planet. So in the same way as in our bodies, according to traditional Chinese medicine, we have meridians, but we also have places where there are, well, one of my teachers spoke about it as rivers and lakes, where the energy is concentrated and where you're able to draw from. And this is what our sacred sites that Makazi was talking about are. And our ancestors sought to find ways of amplifying that sacredness, or that concentrated neter, that concentrated ntu, that concentrated singularity, that concentrated life force, in such a way that it is able to amplify and create a grid around the planet in order to be able to keep it cosmologically stable, but also in such a way that it's able to keep it economically stable, in a way that it's also able to keep it socially stable, in a way that is able to keep the environment stable. Now, as an example of that, I was in the country of my birth, Zimbabwe, 1 year, and the country was in turmoil. There was mass riots that were happening, and there was actually a national shutdown at the time. And I happened to be in the country, and I happened to be at a very sacred place, an unknown sacred place in Binga, next to the massive river, the fourth largest river in Africa, the Kasamambezi River, which has been distorted to be called Zambezi River. And there was a sacred spring. And it is a sacred spring, a tiny little spring, where all those of the clan and all the custodians would go to listen to what nature had to say, and to listen to the ancestors that spoke in drum beats from the stream at least twice a year in sacred ceremony. And I asked the elders around the stream why it was that the country was in turmoil. Why were there national riots? Zimbabweans, unlike South Africans, don't riot easily. And he told me that it is because they have fenced the sacred sites, and we can no longer do our rituals that keep us in harmony with the whole, and because the elephants no longer walk past to give us the messages. And that was what he was attributing to a big socio-economic meltdown in the country, was the closure of the sacred sites and the fact that the animals can no longer walk past. And why elephants? Because elephants are keepers of memory. Elephants, our ancient ones, they walk on padded feet. You cannot hear that 4-ton animal walk if you are in the bush or in the African safari. But because it is padded, its feet are so padded, it is picking up all the knowledge and all the memories of eons. It moves and brushes against the trees, and it takes all the knowledge that all the trees are communicating with each other. It receives the knowledge of the stars, and then it passes those on to us and particularly at these sacred sites. And so what our ancestors were doing when they were building these megalithic stone structures. They were building immortal elephants, so that there was keepers of memories, and that those memories, when we come back to them thousands of years down the line, we're able to tap into that original essence, the natura, the nater, that our ancestors once knew, the dew of this planet when it was uncontaminated, when it had not been destroyed by the ills of humanity. And so that we're able to get to these places and once again reawaken our remembering. And when I speak about remembering is a function of the Great Mother, the feminine spirit. And when she teaches us how to remember, she's teaching us three things. She's awakening our memory of who we are, who our origins are, and where we came from. But she's also remembering. She's bringing us back from our fragmented selves, because we are dismembered. She's bringing together all our fragments together and bringing them together. So she's remembering our dismemberment. And apart from that, she's also reminding us that we are all members of one common family. And this is the kind of knowledge that these megalithic stone structures hold. But they also hold knowledge of great technologies. We think we're advanced in technology these days in modern times. But how do you carry a 10-ton stone and build a great pyramid, with one after the other, with such precise geometry and such precise mathematics and such precise ability to stand thousands and thousands and thousands of years? Our technologies today cannot stand thousands and thousands of years. My brother's a civil engineer. How many buildings that are built today are able to do that? We have in Great Zimbabwe, it's standing for hundreds of years with no mortar. Our engineers today do not know how to build, without mortar, without something that sticks. The reason it was able to be built without mortar is because those that built it worked with the topography of the land, and they allowed the stones to sit with the land and to breathe with the land. And when it's able to breathe with the land, it is able to be stable for hundreds of years. We build against nature. We do not build with the topography of nature, and because of that we keep causing destruction. So one of the things that our megalithic stone structures are there to remind us of is about sustainability, and it is how to sustain by tapping into the knowledge that is sitting in the stones, and the ancient stones, the mountains, the caves, those that have lasted billions and billions and billions of years. And we're able to use that into technology that is in harmony with nature, in harmony with the environment, that breathes with the environment, and that does not work against the environment, that moves with the wind, and that moves and curves around the trees, that allows the insects to move within it, and that allows nature to flow.
I'm speechless. I'm really grateful to hear from an elder what these megalithic structures all around the world have to teach us, and how important it is for us to pay attention and to really protect these sites, and to make this as a guideline for our future generations, because we need to have a guideline. Where do we go from here? Because we have no collective vision, we are all scattered, and I think this can be a really powerful way to focus our attention to. The last question, let's see. Well, I don't want to ask something from this. I want to ask you, what is the heritage your ancestor gave you, and how do you have a tip how we can make our heritage as individuals, how to manifest our heritage basically, because most of the people also in our country, they have different roots from different countries, and a lot of people, they don't know what is their heritage, so they lost their identity. Maybe you have like a tip how they can find out for themselves instead of being so lost in their identity.
That's a tough question. I'm thinking probably the whole essence of spirituality is the biggest and best inheritance that I received from my ancestors. I'm saying that because for me, spirituality is not something outside of myself. It's something that is inherent in my DNA. And its inherence is obvious in the fact that I am connected to you, not because I know you, not because we have sat together, but I'm connected to you because you are a part of me. You know? And that means that when I love you, I'm loving myself. When I hate you, I'm hating myself. You know? And I don't have to know that there is a guy called so and so in southern India to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's a part of me.
Wow.
It's a part of who I am. Right? So if you are having questions about your inheritance and having questions about where you come from, I mean, the best way is to find out. Go and connect with the land, go and connect with the people, with the elders who are living in that space. You know. And for a lot of us, stop thinking too much about what is scientific and what is not scientific, because science is also evolving, you know. Today we are talking about the communication, the mycelium communication of mushrooms and roots of trees, you know. If you say that probably 20, 30 years ago, they will put you in an asylum, you know, for being crazy, right? So we know that it's changing as well, and it's changing because people are starting to accept the fact that matter is connected by energy and there is spirit in between that connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your powerful message. So basically we're all one family, and we can learn a lot from the elders, as is being shown now, and that there is like an interconnected link between what we feel, energy, and what we perceive, matter, and this is the mysterious spirit which is eternal. And I'm really grateful to have experienced this connection with our elders during this sacred Kiva gathering. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. This is such a precious knowledge, and I hope it will reach a lot of people, and I'm sure we planted seeds to create a better world with this. Maybe you want to say something how we can also support this kind of knowledge or your people, because I know I've been to Africa also, the people they have it really tough there, you know, so maybe you can share something with us.
I will share this message to hear from our experience being there in Kiva. For you young people who were participating, who were there at Kiva, to share what you see can help the African youth. We have youth who are in hunger, in thirst to connect to their heritage. But we need countries like here in Germany. Young people in Africa, they see America, they see Europe as the best heaven. It will help our younger generation to learn from you, particularly those who were there in the Kiva.
Exactly.
There are social medias. The questions which you are doing here, please assist our youth, assist Africa youth.
So this learns us to recreate the image basically of our Western world, because the people in Africa, maybe in Brazil, South America, they see all these images on television, on internet, about this luxury we have, and the people, they think actually that this is what life is about, but this actually is the greatest illusion there is. I've been grown up in this Western society, I have every luxury I can imagine, and believe me, the most rich thing we can receive in life are truths which we can receive within our hearts, the connections, and this is eternal, and all the other things we strive for, we see, is just temporarily. It doesn't give satisfaction whatsoever, just for a little moment. And it's really important, if you are seeing this, if you are you, to really rethink, like, how am I living my life? because our life is the biggest message we can give. So thank you for your attention, and have a blessed life and journey in life, and maybe we will meet each other. I hope.